Have you ever found yourself curled up in bed, feeling miserable due to a bacterial infection? It's nothing but a bad bacteria present in our environment. On the other hand, have you heard about the good bacteria that are often talked about? Like in curd or in our gut that helps in digestion? But wait, we were supposed to discuss Kingdom Monera, but why did we start with bacteria? So, let me break the ice for you. All these harmful and helpful bacteria that we just talked about are classified under the Kingdom Monera. So, if we have to study Kingdom Monera, it's really important to understand bacteria first. These tiny, single-celled organisms are so unique that they have their own biological kingdom, that is Kingdom Monera. Bacteria are found in almost every environment on Earth, from soil to water to the human gut. Bacteria are some of the oldest forms of life on Earth. They have been around for billions of years and are believed to have played a crucial role in shaping the planet's atmosphere and environment also. Bacteria are tiny, single-celled organisms that come in different shapes and sizes. Scientists group bacteria into 4 categories based on their shape. The first category is coccus. These bacteria are spherical or oval in shape. These can be micrococcus, single, diplococcus, in pairs, tetracoccus, in fours, streptococcus, in chains, and staphylococcus, in clusters like grapes. The second is the rod-shaped bacteria called bacillus. Bacilli, they can be with or without flagella. The third is the comma-shaped bacteria called Vibrio. These are small bacteria with flagella at one end. The fourth is the spiral-shaped bacteria called spirillum. Spirilla, they are rigid forms due to the spiral structure and bear flagella at one or both the ends. Bacteria may have a simple structure, but they are actually quite complex in behavior. These tiny organisms are incredibly diverse in their metabolic abilities, which means they can do many different things with the food they consume. Some bacteria are even able to create their own food from inorganic substances. This process is called autotrophy, and there are 2 types of autotrophs. First, photosynthetic autotrophs use sunlight to make their food, while chemosynthetic autotrophs use chemicals to create their own energy. Most bacteria, however, are heterotrophs. This means that they rely on other organisms or dead organic matter for their food. They break down these substances into smaller pieces, which they can then use for energy. Bacteria are able to do this in many different ways, such as by secreting enzymes that break down complex molecules or by engulfing other organisms and breaking them down inside their own cells. Now that you have understood bacteria, it's time to understand how they are classified. Kingdom Monera is classified into 2 subkingdoms, Archaebacteria and Eubacteria. In Eubacteria, we will study Cyanobacteria, Chemosynthetic Bacteria, Heterotrophic Bacteria, and Mycoplasma. Let's take a look at each of these by asking a simple question. Did you know that some bacteria are so tough that they can survive in the harshest of environments, like extreme salty areas, hot springs, and marshy areas? These tough bacteria are none other than but are Archaebacteria. These are some of the oldest living organisms on Earth. They have been around for over 3.5 billion years, and they are different from other bacteria because of their unique cell wall structure. This feature helps them to survive in extreme conditions that would be deadly to other bacteria. For example, some Archaebacteria called halophiles can survive in extremely salty conditions, such as in the Dead Sea or in salt pans. Other Archaebacteria called thermoacidophiles can survive in hot and acidic environments, such as in volcanic hot springs. And yet other Archaebacteria called methanogens can survive in oxygen-free environments and produce methane gas as a byproduct of their metabolism. In fact, methanogens are present in the guts of ruminant animals like cows and buffaloes and are responsible for the production of biogas from their dung. And now, let's study the applications of Archaebacteria as they have important biotechnological applications, such as in the production of enzymes for industrial and medical use. Some archaebacteria can even survive in radioactive environments and are being studied for their potential use in nuclear waste management. Now, coming to the subkingdom Eubacteria. It is also known as true bacteria, are single-celled organisms that belong to the kingdom Monera. They are one of the most diverse groups of organisms on Earth and can be found in virtually every environment, from deep-sea vents to the human gut. Eubacteria are important to study because they have a significant impact on the world around us. Some bacteria are beneficial and perform vital functions, such as aiding in digestion, while others can cause serious illnesses. The study of eubacteria is essential for understanding how these organisms interact with their environment and other living beings. One fascinating aspect of eubacteria is their ability to adapt and evolve rapidly. This has allowed them to develop resistance to antibiotics, which can make treating bacterial infections more challenging. Scientists are working to find new ways to combat these bacteria and prevent the spread of antibiotic-resistant strains. Eubacteria are super small, but they come in all sorts of different types. You can recognize them by their rigid cell walls, and some of them even have a tiny tail called a flagellum that helps them move around. Now, let's talk about some different kinds of bacteria classified under Eubacteria. One type of Eubacteria is called Cyanobacteria, but you might know them as blue-green algae. These little guys are really interesting because they can make their own food through a process called photosynthesis, just like plants. They have a green pigment called chlorophyll A that helps them do this, and that's why they are photosynthetic autotrophs. Cyanobacteria are single-celled organisms and can be found all over the place in fresh water, in marine water, on land, and even in colonies with a jelly-like coating around them called a gelatinous sheath. Sometimes, when they live in polluted water, they can grow super fast and create big blooms. But here is the coolest part. Some types of cyanobacteria can take nitrogen from the air and turn it into a form that plants can use to grow. They do this in special cells called heterocysts, and two examples of this type of cyanobacteria are nostoc and anabina. As we already talked about the chemosynthetic bacteria at the start of the video, these little guys are really cool because they can make their own food without using sunlight like plants do. Instead, they get their energy by breaking down certain chemicals, like nitrates, nitrites, and ammonia. When the bacteria break down these chemicals, they release energy that they use to make a molecule called ATP, which is like their own personal battery. This process is called oxidation. But here is the really interesting part. These bacteria are essential for recycling important nutrients like nitrogen, phosphorus, iron, and sulfur. Without them, these nutrients would just stay trapped in dead plant and animal matter, and the ecosystem would suffer. So, while they may be small and hard to see, chemosynthetic autotrophic bacteria play a huge role in keeping our world healthy and thriving. You will be amazed to know that some or other kinds of bacteria are all around us and are actually the most common type of bacteria in nature. These are none other than our heterotrophic bacteria. These little guys again play a really important role in breaking down dead plant and animal matter, which helps keep the ecosystem healthy. But heterotrophic bacteria are also really important to us humans. They can help us make things like curd from milk and even produce life-saving antibiotics. Heterotrophic bacteria are also able to fix nitrogen in the roots of legumes, which can help the plant to thrive. Unfortunately, not all heterotrophic bacteria are friendly. Some can cause serious harm to humans, crops, and animals. You have probably heard of diseases like cholera, typhoid, and tetanus, which are all caused by different types of bacteria. And there is even a disease called citrus canker that affects citrus fruits. When it comes to reproduction, bacteria mainly reproduce by fission, which means they split into two identical copies of themselves. But under really tough conditions, they can also create spores. And in a really interesting process, bacteria can even transfer DNA from one to another, almost like a primitive form of sexual reproduction. So while heterotrophic bacteria may be tiny and hard to see, they have a huge impact on the world around us, both good and bad. Mycoplasma are teeny tiny living things that don't have a cell wall. They are so small that they are actually the smallest cells we know of. What's really amazing about them is that they don't even need oxygen to survive. Some types of mycoplasma can make animals and plants sick, which we call pathogenic. To understand what a cell wall is, it's like a protective layer that surrounds most cells, kind of like a suit of armor. But mycoplasma are unique because they don't have this suit of armor, they are naked cells. Even though they're small and don't have a cell wall, mycoplasma are still alive and can do a lot of things that other cells can do. However, because they don't have a cell wall, they can be a bit sneaky and cause problems in animals and plants by infecting them. So, till now you understood all about the Kingdom Monera and its subkingdoms, Archaebacteria and Eubacteria. Now you know how important these bacteria are for our Earth and for us, like lactic acid bacteria in curd. But these bacteria are capable of causing harm too, like Mycobacterium tuberculosis, which causes TB, so beware of bad ones from now on. Now, as you have completed this topic, you can learn it with chapter notes, watch video lectures, and solve NCERT-based MCQ tests of this chapter on EduRev. And this is available not just for one but all the chapters of Class 11 and 12 Biology, and much more for your NEET preparation.